I'm Andrew, and welcome to episode 23 of the Neon Knitter podcast. So, in this video, I have two finished objects, a whip, and two acquisitions to share. So, first, I'm at home at my parents' house. I'm not at my apartment at my school program, which is why you don't see my yarn shelf in the background. I am on a 3-week break for the holidays, in which we're not even allowed in our apartments. So, because campus is currently closed. Now, I wanted to get this filmed before going on break, but I was actually sick, so I wasn't able to do that, and so, therefore, you just don't have my yarn shelf in the background, because I'm sure you would rather not watch a video of me blowing my nose and coughing. So now that I'm feeling a little better, I will film this episode. Sorry if it's a little bit splicey, because I am still coughing a little bit, and I'm going to try to splice out some of the coughs. But anyways, let's get into it. So, here is my first finished object. You guys might remember this project from a couple years ago. I finally picked it up and finished the sleeves. I was literally like this far on the sleeves and decided to just set it down, and I don't know why I did. This is the Westnitz Go-To Raglan by Stephen West. And the original pattern said for it to have thumb holes and longer cuffs. But the ribbing down here and the neck both were double thick. And so since I really liked that on those parts, I just decided to make the sleeve cuffs match, because I thought that would be the best option. And I thought I'd be a little happier with it. Not that I'm opposed to ever knitting a sweater with thumb holes. I just didn't want to for this particular one, for the vibe I was going for with it. So, anyways, the yarn I used is from Round Mountain Fibers. It is their Willow Worsted. And with Round Mountain Fibers, you kind of need to... Okay, Round Mountain Fibers only sells in quantities of 5 skeins. So you kind of need to have a very special project in mind in order to use their yarns. Now, I do have a local yarn store that does stock their yarn. And so you can buy individual skeins if your LYS stocks it. But if you find a color you like from their website, roundmountainfibers.com, you're going to have to get 5 skeins. And so I ended up with 10 skeins of my main color and 5 of my contrast color. And so it was kind of an expensive project to do, and I have a bunch of yarn left over. So would I recommend doing that? No. Was I obsessed with this color and had to have it? Yes. Was my local yarn store willing to order it in for me? No. Because they don't carry the worsted. They have the fingering and the DK. So I had to get it directly from Round Mountain Fibers. So the color is called Beehive Ginger. And then the contrast solid is actually a color that Round Mountain Fibers made specifically to go with it. And it is called Ginger Root. Now, if Round Mountain Fibers didn't specifically have a coordinating solid, would I have picked from somewhere less expensive? Probably. But they had a coordinating semi-solid, so of course I had to get the coordinating semi-solid, because, you know. So, I'm really happy with where it lands on me. Also, apologies if the audio's a little weird. I forgot my microphone at my apartment. So, there is that. So yeah, that is my first finished object, the West Knits Go-To Raglan by Stephen West. Very happy with it. If I were to make it again, I would definitely not purchase from Round Mountain Fibers. If I want to make it out of Round Mountain Fibers, I would get only what my local yarn store has. But definitely a wonderful pattern. Just not, it's not worth spending several $100s to make the sweater and having leftover yarn. But I did use worsted, and the pattern called for 2 fingering weights held together, so yeah. So there is that. Okay, so my second and final finished object for this video is this. This is the Ribs and Stripes Yoke Sweater by the Yarnspirations Design Studio. Now, this is something I started a little over a year ago. I think I started it in September of 2024. And I set it down when MCAL started. The Go-Go Dynamo. And then I think I might have picked this up afterwards and continued on the body. And then I did part of the sleeves and I just set it down again and never picked it back up. It got super tangled. But then one day recently I was just like, you know what? I'm going to untangle this and finish it. And here it is. I don't know why I didn't do that a long time ago. There's been so many times where I wanted to wear it. But this is the Ribs and Stripes Yoke Sweater by the Yarnspirations Design Studio. I used the exact yarn called for in the exact colors in the picture, because that's what drew me to this pattern, was the exact colors they used. So I used Caron Colorama for this project. It was Caron Colorama Ogo. And for the yoke, they have you use a self-striping color, but you have to separate the colors and use them as individual little skeins. And so that self-striping colorway was called Lippy. And then the 3 colors on the body and the sleeves are as follows. The black is called Biker Jacket, the gray is called Pave the Way, and the white is called Sticky Rice. One of the other things that was a little annoying about this project, the entire body of the sweater, all purl stitches. It was all purled. That's what the pattern said to do, so that's what I did. It was entirely purled. Was it worth it? Yes. Would I knit this again with all the purl stitches? Probably not. However, I recommend this pattern 100%. Very nice pattern. I did start to run out of some of the colors in the self-striping yarn as I got towards the bottom of the yoke, and so some of my stripes are a little skinnier than the pattern called for down here. But that's okay, I don't mind. Excuse me. And so here's where it falls on me. And I always knit my sweaters to my waist. So yeah. Anyways, so that is my second and final finished object I have to share with you, and this one is 100% acrylic. So yeah, I don't make a lot of acrylic sweaters, but I really like this one. And it's nice to have a pop of pink in my wardrobe, because I do really enjoy pink. So, and I don't have a ton of pink. So yeah. Alright, let's move on to my acquisitions, and then we'll talk about whips after that. So my first acquisition is So every Friday night, I go to the knitting group at Stephen B in Minneapolis. It's been going on for a while. I just never went before, and I started going um, about a month ago, and I'm really enjoying it. So now that makes it a total of 4 knitting groups that I go to. Okay, 3 knitting groups and 1 craft group that I go to. 2 of my groups are weekly, and 2 of them are once a month. So yeah. Um, and the knitting group at Stephen B on Friday nights, they we did 2 weeks ago, we did a little yarn skein exchange in the form of a white elephant sort of thing. And so everybody was to bring in a skein of yarn. If you have multiple skeins that go together, bring those in. And then we would go around a circle and pick a skein from what people brought in. And so this is what I ended up coming home with. This is from Woolen Vinyl. Stephen B doesn't stock this, but one of my knitting group members bought this in New Orleans. And it was a souvenir skein she got in New Orleans. And she just never figured out what to do with it, so she brought it in. So this is from Woolen Vinyl. It's a company I've actually been wanting to get from for a while, so that is their classic rock sock. The color is called Walkin' to New Orleans. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 100 grams, 400 yards. And I just love how bright and cheerful this is, and so I will definitely find a sweater yoke to put this in. Yeah, I'll find a really good sweater yoke for this, definitely. I love it so much. It's so beautiful. Okay, my second acquisition is this. So this is Adrophil Crystal Fantasy, color number 84. It is 90% wool, 10% nylon. And it's about 60 meters per yard, or 60 meters per skein, and 50 grams. I don't know if I showed it on my channel before or not, but a couple years ago, I bought a skein of this at Stephen B. And this yarn's discontinued. They just happen to have a whole bunch of random yarns upstairs in the shop. So they have tons of discontinued stuff. Novelty yarns. Yeah. And I saw this skein, and they only had one. And I was just really drawn to it. It was really pretty. I had to have it, even though I was really sad that they only had one, because I couldn't really make anything with only 60 meters. But yeah, yeah. Anyways, a couple of weeks ago, I went upstairs when I was there for my knitting group, and they had 11 more skeins of it. So since I was so drawn to this, that I had to get the other 11 skeins, and they were only $4 a piece. So, yeah. So I'm very happy to have 11 more of these, so now I have 12 of them. And they're even all the same dye lot as well, so perfect. I'm so happy that I found these. I haven't quite picked out a pattern yet, but since they're only 60 meters, I do have to translate that to yards before I pick a pattern, but and I only have 12 of them. I'll probably end up doing a sleeveless top of some sort with it, but I think it's going to be really pretty, and with the colors of it, it's very summery looking, and so I think this will make a pretty sleeveless top of some sort. So I will pick out a pattern. I'm not quite sure what weight of yarn this is. This yarn actually wasn't in Ravelry's database, and I had to add it myself. So I listed it as DK. Could be sport. I don't know. I'm just looking at the thinner part and not the nubby, bumpy bits as to figuring out the weight of it. But, yeah, I would think it's probably closer to a DK weight, just so we can account for balancing it between this part and the nubby, bumpy bits. But I think you could get away with knitting a sport weight pattern out of it. But yeah, there's really nothing about that yarn online whatsoever. But yeah, I have 12 of them now, so I am very happy with that. So I will definitely be finding a project for that, and you guys will find out what I make with it once I find a pattern. Okay, we're going to move on to my whip. Now, I have more than one whip going at the moment, but when I left my apartment a week ago to come home for the holiday break, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I was sick, so grabbing my whips for this video wasn't really in the forefront of my mind. So a bunch of the whips that I should be showing off in this video are in my apartment, and until the 3-week break is over, I don't have access to my apartment since my college program has us turn our keys in during break. So I will show those off in my next video, or my next episode. So yeah. But here is the whip I have been most actively working on lately. You might remember this from a couple of years ago. This is the Alley Sweater Light by Sarah Opie. I am very happy with how this is going. This is my very first stranded color work garment. All the sweaters that I wear that look like they were color work were all slip stitch patterns because they're all Stephen West sweaters. But yeah, I think my floats look pretty good as well. I did most of this color work a couple of years ago. I think I got to about like here maybe. And then I just set it down because I was needing a break from it. I was just like, you know what? This is a lot right now. And then it just lingered as a whip. And there's been so many times I wanted to wear it that a couple of weeks ago I was like, yeah, screw it. I'm gonna finish this color work. And now that I'm on the plain stockinette body, it is just super simple and it is flying by. I believe the original version of this pattern was DK weight, but this is the fingering version, so the Alley Sweater Light. There is also a short sleeve summer top version called the Alley T, and then the Alley T Light. I think DK and fingering are the two weights. And the difference is the diamonds are on the bottom down here instead of up here for the t-shirt version. So there is that also. But I'm doing the long sleeve sweater. But yeah, those diamonds are just so good. And I'm very happy with it. So, the yarn I'm using, my contrast color, or the lighter of the two colors, is from Northwoods Fibers. This is all yarn I got at Stephen B. This is Northwoods Fibers. This is their Aspen Fingering. And the color is called Dreamsicle. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 460 yards. And this is a 4-ply fingering. And then my main color, this more salmon-y color, is from Urban Girl Yarns. Urban Girl Yarns, she sadly retired this year, so she's not dyeing any longer. When I bought this yarn, she was still dyeing, but I got this on clearance as D&B, but she is sadly no longer dyeing yarn as of this year. Northwoods Fibers is still going. I think this might be a discontinued color, though, but anyways, this is Urban Girl Yarns Virginia Fingering. Oh, and I only got one of these, and I have 4 of these. So, Urban Girl Yarn Virginia Fingering, 480 yards, 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. This is actually a 2-ply fingering, unlike my contrast color, which is a 4-ply fingering. Normally, if I were to do color work like that, I would pair the same type of yarn together, like 2-ply and 2-ply, or 4-ply and 4-ply, but I really like the colors together, so yeah. And this color is called Alaskan Salmon. So, yeah. So I'm very happy with this, and I will definitely be sharing progress update in my next episode, because this is my most active whip. In fact, don't be surprised if I'm wearing it in my next episode, because I am just going crazy on this. And I am just, it's flying by now that I've gotten the yoke done. Now, there is a little bit of color work, more of these diamonds on the sleeve cuffs. But it's not too much color work, so that should go hopefully fairly quickly. Yeah. I will say I did not enjoy doing these short rows, though. It's every other color, or every other stitch is the main color and every other stitch is the contrast color. And I was going around in the short rows, of course. Oh, hated it. The ribbing is done on 2.5 needles, and the rest of it is done on size US 6 needles. And so size US 2.5 needles are significantly smaller, so the stitches were super tight, and they did not want to move around on my needles. So when the short rows were done and I was able to have all the stitches be on the size 6 needles, oh my god, it made it so much easier. I don't ever want to experience that again, because that was not fun. Was it worth it? Yes, it was worth it, but anyways, so yeah. So I'm very happy with where this is going, and I'm looking forward to wearing this. So yeah, it's my Ally Sweater Light by Sarah Opie. Very happy with it. Yeah, so that's everything I have to share today. And I'll share my other whips in my next episode when I have access to them. Apologies that I didn't grab them. Again, I was sick and it wasn't on my mind. So, with that being said, I'm Andrew. Thank you for checking in here at the Neon Knitter. I hope you all had a happy holidays and have a very happy new year. And I will see you in my next video.